Bug. Don't be back late.
I know.
Come give us a hug before you go. Hugs.
Hug her, that's what she's there for. Have you thought any more about making that call?
That could really hurt Mom's feelings.
How can you not even be curious about it?
Each of my moms had a kid with your sperm.
Liking both of them.
Uh-huh, like in gay.
Right on. Cool. I love lesbians.
Great.
I get it. He's their biological father and all that crap. Like, we're not enough or something?
I never thought they'd use my stuff.
Why not? I'd use it.
Donor dad, stone cold fox. Is he single? First of all, you.
You met him, and that's cool. And now we can move on.
I want to see him again.
You do?
You do?
So great to meet you.
Go easy on the wine, hon. It's daytime. Okay. Same goes for the micromanaging. Okay.
So how'd you two meet?
I was a resident, and Jules had an emergency.
My tongue was numb.
And I told her to relax,
And then
my tongue started working again.
Oh my God.
There are markers in the story, and there are plot points. But around that, I think we felt that we really wanted to explore sort of the unconsciousness of people's behavior. And we felt that that was actually a thing that moved the story forward. So for instance, Jules unconsciously sort of takes this job with Paul. They both unconsciously sort of feed off of each other's energy. And because it's unconscious, there's an unconscious intimacy because they have a kid together. So there's all this stuff operating under the surface that we're sort of playing around purposefully to show how so much of the action, whether it's the affair, whether it's the way the kids relate to Paul, is unconscious as opposed to purposive. And I think that was just a very deliberate decision because the whole arc of the movie for us is about getting conscious.
She's so sweet and fun and great to be around, and that's the same way, you know? And when I heard they were going to be playing the roles, I was kind of intimidated a little bit, honestly. I mean, they're such good actresses. I was like, how am I ever going to stand up to them? And Mark and Mia, like, so much. You know, but then I met them, and they're such, like, down-to-earth, nice, mothering people. And for me to jump into the role where they're playing my moms was very easy. There's no definition of drama or comedy in this film. It's kind of like life is the genre. And I think that had a lot to do with it. And yeah, it was very rich because of that. I felt like even in the most tragic situations in life, there's sometimes funny moments, you know? And the script really captures that. And I think that the dialogue that her and Stuart wrote for Laser and for Mia and for the whole family was so real. And I feel like I've had those same conversations in my family. And so I think that because of that, it was easy for me to sort of jump into the character and really just take on the character and wear Laser around very easily.
I thought it was a really interesting turn on kind of an American iconoclastic character. You know, this kind of, you know, Peter Pan bachelor who lives his life purely for his own pleasure, and then he has this really kind of nice turn in it when he meets his you know, biological kids that kind of make him a pile of mush. I think what makes her such a great director is she really is interested in subtext and what's happening between the lines. So you have a lot of behavior off the lines that people are responding to, little looks, you know, even then when the camera's not on you. I mean, when you're not speaking, something happens after a scene. And, you know, those are the flourishes that you put on it as an actor. Growth is painful, you know, and I think he, you know, it's sort of, he gets spanked. And, but I think you know, I like to think that he's going to have a relationship with his kids and he's going to buy a minivan. I think you know, you go from the beginning of the movie, that guy doesn't have to beg a woman for anything, you know, and would never do it, to like begging Julie to stay with him and begging his daughter to forgive him, and in a weird way, even that look to his son is begging for some, you know, some connection, and I think that's a big change for him. I think Paul's like half a lesbian himself.
It was Lisa. You know, I mean, it was always Lisa. I met her at a Women in Film lunch, and you know, went over and introduced myself and asked why I hadn't seen the script to High Art. You know, because yeah, I literally was like, "Excuse me, but I could have done that job," which is terrible, very actory thing to do. And she was like, "What?" But I said, "Look, I think your work is great, and I'd love to do something with you." And she was like, "Back at you." And we had a meeting, and she said, "Oh, you know, I'm gonna write something for you." And then kids came along, and then as is, you know, what happens in independent films, it takes forever to get financing, and it was real life and truth. And she had a baby, and you know, there's all that kind of stuff. So it took, you know, it was 4.5, 5 years before we finally got it off the ground. My oldest child is 12 and a half, so he's really on the cusp of adolescence. And so it's something that you see coming. Yeah. And it's so poignant. I think the whole movie is so poignant because it takes place in the last summer that they're going to have as an intact family. And they all know it, and they all have that pressure. And they're all like, how are we going to make this count? This is really important. This is the last time. This is the last time. And so you kind of see it, you know, you see it in all of them. And it's really, I mean, my gosh, it's a lot to, you know, to handle, I think, for everybody. I think it's present in the script, you know. I mean, I think a lot of it is what she and Stuart wrote, and then she also has a, you know, she's very well prepared. She's a very relaxed attitude herself too, and if you just look at her movies, you realize she's so interested in nuance and subtlety. You know, she doesn't like a broad stroke. You know, she really likes things to play out on people's faces. You know, there were just so many. I like. There's that scene too where I'm playing ping pong with laser, and there's so many things going on at the same time. So I have this thing happening with Paul, but I'm playing ping pong, and then she's like, you know, haranguing him about the thank you note, and so we're not talking, and they're not talking, and this is happening. You know, there's just, I think that kind of texture really adds to it.
Yeah, it's really beyond, you know, what I ever imagined in that this sort of hope that it could be a wider movie, potentially a mainstream movie, and that it would be affecting and whatnot to a wide audience, you know, of ages and sexual identity, sexual preferences, and you know, genders and whatnot, is great. Something that I learned, which is that it makes a better film, and it's worth it to, if you're going to write an original script, to keep working on it until you feel like it's arrived. And it's a weird thing to say because, you know, I was being supported by my partner, and it was grueling, and I felt very insecure a lot of the time because I thought, you know, what am I doing? And I'm heading nowhere fast and all this nonsense. But in the end, had I not done that, you know, I don't think the film would resonate nearly as well as it seems to have been resonating with people. Yeah, I mean, I think that all the tensions that come up between the moms, you know, about that in some way are inflected or have to do with the children, I could really identify with that because I think, you know, for anybody who has kids or a family, you know, a lot of the tensions that happen in a marriage are because of this kind of over-involvement and love and concern and whatever, you know, about the kids. And it's a complicated dance, how to kind of preserve your marriage and let your kids do their thing, but, you know, be involved in helping them grow. And it was tricky, but it really did, it was good that I had the kid in there because it definitely informed, you know, how I could understand these moms. You know, I feel like we really tried hard to make a film that was about the value of family, and not just in a kind of soapboxy, like, stick with it no matter what, but like, you know what, it's messy and it gets broken, and you know, you have to glue it back together, and but that, you know, if there's a will and there's a you know, a commitment, then there's a way to muscle through difficult times.
The plan was to limit his involvement.
You're not gonna stick that, bro.
He's not a father. He's our sperm donor.
In the middle of our street.
just keep seeing my kids' expressions in your face.
Really?
Really?
I feel like he's taking over my family.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What's that look you're giving me?
That's no look. That's just my face.
Driving home on a motorcycle. This is something I just never allow.
Mom, I'm 18 years old. I've just felt so far away from you lately.
Why'd you donate sperm?
It just seemed like a lot more fun than donating blood. Hey, I'm glad I did it.
Marriage is hard. Two people, year after year. Sometimes you stop seeing the other person.
To an unconventional family.